Well, hello and welcome to this video about Subaru Forester removing the window motor, electric window motor. So got this car and the driver's side window motor was completely dead, and whilst figuring out how to do it, I read all sorts of information about whether it was possible. I saw videos that said you had to take the door off and take the window out and remove the whole frame and everything, which I thought was a complete nightmare. But actually when I did it, it turned out to be relatively straightforward. So this is for a 2003 Subaru Forester XT Turbo, ABC, etc. And now what you'll find is that my motor works really well. Okay, so having replaced it with a brand new one. So this is the motor from the driver's side, and although it was sort of in reasonable condition, I don't know if you can see that, it was okay. But what I found was that in here, this has been massively cleaned up, but this was all covered in all kinds of gunk, and particularly this little spindly thing in here just was not moving, and basically it's completely separated from that external bit there. And what I'm hoping is that if I can get the motor out of the passenger side and clean it up and give it a bit of a lube, then I may buy myself another, a bit more time before I have to replace the whole motor and save myself some cash. So that's what this video is all about. So what do you need for this job? Well, you're going to need some kind of spudger. You can use a big spanner or anything else. You're going to need a big Phillips, a medium-sized Phillips. You're going to need a number 3 Phillips, that is, but on a ratchet which is quite sort of not very deep. This is the tricky bit. You're also going to need a 10mm bolt head. You probably need a little tiny weenie screwdriver. You may need something to cut with, and then actually to clean up the motor I'm just going to use a wire brush, and I'm actually going to use silicone lube, but probably a lithium grease or anything else. And also you're probably going to want a piece of wood about sort of yay big. You'll see why hopefully when we get there. So there we go, without further ado, let's get cracking. So as I said, this is for a 2003 XT Turbo, so there may be some bits that yours, if you're doing it on a different car, that yours doesn't have. For instance, this little tweeter unit thingy, that doesn't exist on all. What we're going to do is just pop this out. The other thing to note is, I don't know how much you love your car. I don't really love this car particularly, so I'm going to be a little bit rougher. Obviously, if you want to take your time, then I suggest you do. So the next thing to do is we're going to just pop this little retaining jobby out, and then with a big screwdriver, with the medium screwdriver, Phillips head, pop this guy off. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to work this little facade thingy off. Just use a spudger or mini screwdriver. It's a bit fiddly, so I've just gone ahead and saved us all a bit of time. But you can see it just, I don't know what you can see in that lot, but just take your time, try not to break any plastic, and just slowly work it around, and then that will be, that's off. Okay, so once you've got the door handle thing out, there's another little clip in here. Just pop him out. You need the big screwdriver, the big Phillips. Pop that out. and this just relatively easily comes out, and then just release the block. Take that guy out. And then once you've done that, now the door card actually pops off in one thing. And it's just a case of slowly taking your time and working it out. Just sort of this is one of the things that I find that makes me so impressed by this Subaru. I've never had a Subaru before, but the fact you can just take a door card off in one piece like that is really cool, if you ask me. Now, with the door card off, what you'll see is this horrible plastic damp sheet, which I guess is there to try and stop moisture getting in. It's fine, except that the stuff they use to hold it down, the black stuff, is absolutely filthy. So you have to be really careful. So I'm just going to pop this speaker off. That's going to make our lives a lot easier in a bit. If you were thinking of doing a speaker upgrade, this would be the time to do it. But actually I found these speakers with the stock tweeter, with the add-on tweeter, is actually really good. With the speaker out of the way, you've got two options here, right? One is you take a Stanley knife and you cut it, and when you want to put it back, you're just going to have to use some kind of adhesive or sticky. Alternative is just to pull it off Now, you'll find is that, and then you can see what I mean about this black muck. If you just twist it over and use it just to keep it stuck up, that's all you need to do. It's the next bit which is the tricky bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get the motor out by feel. If I remember, I'll put a link to the download that shows the internal configuration. So the first thing we're going to do is take our number 3 Phillips, and then inside you've got, you see on there, 1, 2, 3 spots where it screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get this guy inside, and by feel slacken those out. I'm also going to do on a really windy day when this door is trying to kill me. Great. I actually find it's easier if you do have a proper finger, so you can feel the nut. I find doing it through the glove just doesn't give me the thing I want. Anyway, what you'll find is the screws are kind of, I don't know if they're Loctited or there's a very definite kind of snap. When you've got them all like finger loose, the next thing you're going to do is actually you need to loosen off the mechanism, the regulator that's holding the glass. Now we're actually going to take it out, but we are going to hold it, we are going to loosen it out. So what I recommend is, this is where the piece of wood comes in. You'll notice the window is all the way up. So I'm just going to put this piece of wood in, because what you don't want is wedge that sort of find somewhere to wedge it. You don't want the regulator to drop. So what I'm going to do is just... Alright, so we've got 4 to do. Just literally loosening it off. There's actually one more just in there, which I'm just going to... Now what you'll find is it's actually the kind of the 2 bottom ones that you need to take. And what you're trying to do is get it so that the bottom bit of the regulator is a bit wobbly. And with that done, we'll take the bolts to the motor out. I don't know how many times you'd support doing this before you ran these bolts off, but they're quite good quality because it's all very fiddly and you have no idea what you're doing. It's a bit of a nightmare. Right, where did the other one go? Right, so that bolt's out, which means the motor itself is ready to come out. So all we need to do is just unplug it There's this green one here. And depending on how much you've loosened off, what you're going to find is you may need to loosen off the regulator a little bit more. So mainly at the bottom, all you're trying to do is just engineer yourself enough space to get the little fucker out. I'm nervous about doing it too far. What you don't want is for this regulator to ping off. Maybe it does need to go a little bit more. And then when the cat gets out of the way, one motor. And I've actually had to move the regulator a lot more than I wanted there, so I'm just going to put these bolts back in. Just a little bit. Right, so that's back, that's safe, that's not going to drop. So now we can have a look at our window motor. That's actually been Loctited these, so I'll probably do the same when I put it back together. Let's see what this guy's like. Absolutely smashed in there. Slightly chewed actually. I'm actually just going to use a little bit of lithium grease on this guy, just to make sure he's running nice. That should keep it sort of lubed up a bit. Good, but what I'm expecting is the main issue is going to be under this little thingy, under this cover, and this is a bit of a bastard to get off. What you can do is if you just get a spudger in there, you can just lever it off, and then there is this. Oh wow, this one's totally different. Okay, so I've filled this with silicone spray and all sorts of other things. I'm just going to attach the cover to that spiral. This guy has got a little retaining washer thing that sits in the back there, so when you take the screws out, make sure you don't lose that. Okay, so I put a seal on there. I'm just going to whack this back on. So, oh, that stuff is horrible. It should be on. Nicely sealed. So now, just got to get it back in the car. Getting this back in is just the opposite of taking it out. So what I'm going to do is, obviously the actually greased up spindly things, they're going to lock into the bottom of the regulator down here. And I'm afraid it is just the trial and error job. Now, what I've just remembered is that when I took it out, I did actually pop these screws off, these bolts, so I'm going to do that again. But again, just my advice is when you do this, just keep a hand on the mechanism. It's spring loaded, so if you let it slip, then when it extends, you're going to be in a world of pain. Eventually, you sort of land in a position where bolts and things start to line up, and when that happens, you're nearly there. Right, before I finish off, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get the regulator back into place. Because what you'll find is when the regulator, with the mechanism rather moving around, it can be more of a pain in the arse to screw the motor back on. But once you've got the bolts in and you know it's there and not going to move, then you're better off getting the regulator, the mechanism thingy back, getting the mech back, and then that's in, and that's good. You should probably torque these up, I suppose. I'm not going to bother. Now, just to finish off, all those are in tight now. So, when that's done, don't forget to take your wood out. You never want to leave your wood in too long, if you know what I mean. And then, just going to whack it all back from whence it came. Oh, I'll tell you what, don't forget, in the excitement, so hook your motor back up. Should be able to put my cogs back on. Likelihood of ever getting that back in the same place, pretty much zero. There's the running man. Right, so speak up. Yada 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 da, da. Speakers in. One of them. What else? Nothing. Door card. Another one. Where have you gone? Make sure you get that right there. Needs some. Obviously. Pop him off, sort of there. Right. And all you're going to do, sort of get it roughly. Give it a wiggle. And then when everything looks alright, there we go. And you can have one of them. You can even have it the right way around if you like. This is by far the fiddliest bit of the whole shooting match. Okay, you're in. This guy goes in. Don't forget to hook it up. That would be a bit silly. That. Like I saw. Chuck the big dog back in. Clicky clicky. Well, there we go. Thanks very much for watching.
What are you doing, Daddy?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Daddy?
We're fixing the other door, aren't I?